Welcome back to another MLB The Show franchise mode as we are starting up our franchise here with the Oakland Athletics. Now you may be thinking to yourself, why are we choosing Oakland? They suck. Well, that's the reason they suck. It's going to be a challenge back to their postseason where they were just a few years ago. I know they were even competing. Alright, now, yes, tutorials. I know all about that. I am going to keep the scouts the way that they are normally. As you can see, we are ranked 29th altogether, 30 in contact, 26th in power, 27th pitching, awful defense, and awful speed. Now, I am going to change up some of the pitching, so the hitting is going to be directional to try to keep it as realistic as possible when it comes to stats. Then as for pitching, everything is going to be dynamic. That's fine, though, for that. And then throwing is just going to be button. And yeah, there you go. Trying to keep everything as realistic as possible. As pitch info, yep, injuries and ejections on, all that on. Apply the changes. Now, let's get into the look of this A's team. So I did trade away Sean Manaea. Did not do the correct deal, though. Instead, what I did was take an offer that I thought before loading up that we should take, and that was shipping him to Miami. So long-term A is to Miami, and as I go over the roster, you will see who we got in return. So starting off, the ace of this franchise will be the 29-year-old Frankie Montas. He does only have 1 year left to arbitration after this year. See what we decide to do with him. Might be a deadline move type guy, because I doubt that this team is going to be competing. Pitched a 3.37 with 13 wins, 9 losses in 32 games last year. Allowed 164 hits, 79 runs. Allowed 20 home runs, which isn't ideal. Ideally, he's not ace, but pitching at 3.37, Frankie Montas should be a good pitcher for us. Just a matter of where he will be in the future. Our second pitcher, potentially pitching, I forget if I put him 2-hole or 3-hole, but it is the 21-year-old relief pitcher, or starting pitcher out of Florida, not really pitcher, 21 starting pitcher with C-Pot in Marshall Conway. He's only signed to a 1-year, $60K deal with 2 years renewable, so Marshall Conway is there. Also is James Caprillion, the 28-year-old out of Cali. He's the hometown native, or home state native, I should say. At 6'3", he is 28. In 2021, last year, he pitched an 8-5 with the 407, made 21 starts, appeared in 24 games, so came out of the bullpen for a little. He only does have 1 year of MLB experience, did pitch a little bit in 2020, didn't do so hot. But James Caprillion, the 28-year-old, looking to really make a name for himself this season with the A's. As the fourth pitcher, it is Cole Irvin, another 28-year-old out of California. So 29, 28 is around our starting age in the rotation. He made 32 starts this year, 10-15 with a 4.24. Before that, he pitched a little bit with Philly back in 2019, 2018, so he does have about 1.1 years in the MLB. He is a lefty, forgot to say that. So Montas is a righty, righty, righty. So we do have one lefty in the lineup. That's Cole Irvin. C-Pot, might be a deadline move depending on how he does. Like I said, a lot of these guys might be deadline pieces too. We don't know what this team's going to be looking like and what moves. And then lastly, 67 overall C-Pot starting pitcher out of Georgia, and Brent Honeywell Jr. Pitched with Tampa Bay last year, made 2 starts in 3 games, pitched an 8.31, so not good was Brent Honeywell. But he is going to, at least for now, slide in as the 5th starter. Could be a mid-season move. Who knows? Also, I am going to try to fix around the minor leagues. Put him in AAA. Put Logue in AAA. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go into AA. Sadly, Edward Cabrera, AA. 3, 4, 5. Class A. Class A, there we go. That's fine for now. I will let the game auto fix it later, but however, looking at this minor leagues, we do have Gunnar Hoglund starting out in AAA, the 22-year-old righty starting pitcher out of Florida, standing 6'4", 220. He is 22, 66B. Could see him in MLB this year, probably not, but maybe. Zach Logue is another pitcher in the bullpen that's young, has a little bit of upside, especially as a lefty. Ryan Cusick, the 6'6" righty, B-Pot, 22 years old. So definitely some potential in this pen. And probably our top pitching prospect is Edward Cabrera, the 23-year-old, 62 overall. Pitched a little bit last year with Miami, made 7 starts, went 0-3, so still looking for his first career win with a 5.81. Definitely is an upside. We got him in the Sean Manaea deal as well as one other player, and that is basically it for the rest of the starting pitching. As we head to the bullpen, potentially our best reliever, I don't want to say best reliever, but one of our better relievers is probably going to be Adam Kolarek. Last year, though, only played in 12 games, pitched in 9 innings with the Navy. All right, definitely need the lefty from Maryland to be a little bit better. 33 years old, too. Is off it has a few years left of arbitration on him. See what we do with him. Anyway, Deolis Guerrera also pitched a 4.11 in 53 games with 4 wins, 1 losses. Probably one of our better relief pitchers outside of Luis Trevino once we get to him. Just have 2 more years left of arbitration, the 32-year-old from Venezuela. Austin Pruitt is a relief pitcher I do also really like. He pitched a 3.68 in 2021 with multiple teams. First year here in Oakland, barely getting paid a lot. What is good is that our payroll is quite. Definitely a guy who can make some starts. I'm actually surprised he's not actually as a starter. I do want to see what his overall is as a starter. Paul Blackburn. Actually, yeah, he fits better in as starter. So, Blackburn's going to be a starter. But anyway, Blackburn in 9 starts last year, pitched 1-4 with a 5.87. It's not the best, but he does have the stamina to go long, and that is what we're going to do. Honeywell will be coming out of the bullpen to start the year. So obviously we looked at Austin Pruitt, looked at him. Sam Selman, 64-year-old lefty, or 6'4" overall, 31 years old lefty, be crazy. Played a few years with San Francisco, decided to stay in California with Oakland. We do have control for a few years of him, see what he can do. Colin Palouse is a young bullpen arm, and then staying in the MLB, he's going to definitely be a long relief guy, as well as AJ Pook. Once a top prospect, definitely has not lived up, the lefty. Has not really lived up to his name, or the top prospect he once was. However, pitches extremely fast, just really needs to work on the control. And then nothing else too much in the bullpen. I mean, Kirby Snead maybe a little bit too there with Toronto, pitch solid, Miguel Romero, but nothing else really in this bullpen. Now, to close out the pitching is the righty closer out of Pennsylvania. He's played his entire career so far with Oakland, is Lou Trevino, the 30-year-old, throws righty, 3.163 of MLB service, 6'5". Has a career ERA of 3.70, pitched 3.18 last year, really just struggled in 2019. 22 saves as the closer last year. Will be the closer once again, appeared in 71 games, only 22 saves, include 4. Nevertheless, Lou Trevino is going to be the go-to guy out of the bullpen. Now we turn to hitting and the farm system. So far, honestly, our farm is not the best when it comes to prospects. However, Sean Murphy is probably one of the better young catchers in MLB. Had kind of a breakout year last year, and say whatever your definition of breakout year is. 17 home runs, 59 RBIs. Struck out 114 times. Good, but also hit 216 in 119 games. His career average of 222. He's never really going to be an average guy, but already 28 home runs in 2 seasons. So with 81 RBIs, definitely a guy to look forward to. He also is one of the best defensive catchers, and we do have 3 years left of control. The bench catcher is Stephen Vogt, can also play first base and the corner outfields. Not ideal. Played with Oakland back in 2016, where he was having all-star type years with 251, 14, 2015, 18, 71, 261, 14, 279, 9, and 35. Definitely wants to try to revitalize his career after he has fallen off since then. is only under contract for 1 year, 3.5 mil. Could be a potentially deadline move, as we do have some young catchers in the minors, including Austin Allen, who slashed 250 last year and only really for 4 games, but nevertheless, Austin Allen's there. One of our top prospects, if not the top prospect on our team, is Shea Langeliers, 70 overall catcher. Was traded from Atlanta, as Langeliers looks to make a name for himself here in Oakland. Potentially a September call-up or a mid-season call-up at catcher, depending on what happens, obviously, if Murphy or Bill gets injured. We don't know. I definitely do think he is MLB ready, probably a lot more than Tyler Soderstrom. However, he is kind of a liability catching defensively. Anyway, obviously we already talked about Austin Allen. Austin Allen is a really good contact hitter, in my opinion, with 61, 54. See what he can do there. CJ Rodriguez definitely is not hitting MLB ready. However, catching it is one of the better. I think he's the second best defensive catcher on the team. So definitely hitting wise, he's not good, but potentially a call up due to injury. Who knows? Tyler Soderstrom, one of the top prospects here. He's only 20 from Cali. He can play corner outfield as well. Definitely looking forward to seeing him in the MLB. Definitely don't think he'll be in the MLB for a few years, though. And yeah, we also do have Kyle McCann. First base, I did go out and sign Albert Pujols. Obviously played with the Angels from 2012 to 2020. Was traded to the Dodgers last year, hit free agency, and then obviously we all know he played multiple years with the Cardinals, where one of the best power hitters in MLB, has fallen off a little bit, but still has pop, especially against lefties. He will be our starting first baseman with Stephen Piscotty backing him up. One guy, the only really guy I do like at first base, potentially for the future, is Lawrence Butler. Definitely want to see him develop as a hitter a little bit more, but could see him being a potential call-up, depending on how things go throughout the season. Tony Kemp, definitely more of a contact guy, hitting 279 with 8 bombs, 37 RBIs. Will never really hit a ton of home runs, however, is very versatile, playing second base and all the outfield. Max Schumann was also a call up there, plays all infield and corner outfields at 24. Not a ton of potential there, however, at 24 is MLB ready. It's good for at least now, potentially, future too, if he can slash pretty good. Max Muncy, I don't know if this is an actual prospect or not, so I'm keeping him, but yeah, and then nothing else really behind there. I mean, Christian Lopes at 29, definitely think he has a little bit of, he's probably one of the better hitters in the minors. Anyway, next we have, I definitely want him at least in the, yeah. At third base, we have Sheldon Neuse. Has not really turned out too good. He will get a chance to be starting at third base. We also have prospect Jeremy Ironman in the minors. Jordan Diaz, not really a ton of potential there. And then Zach Geloff would be pot at 22. So 25-22, Ironman might be a call-up mid-season. Our starting shortstop for right now is Elvis Andrus. Can play both infield positions, slashed 243 with 3 bombs, 37 RBIs with Oakland. Last season is on a $15 million deal, /year's deal, so potential trade piece. Definitely think he can hold it down at that shortstop position. We do also have Robert Pawson, though, who's right on his tail to be called up, as well as Logan Davidson. Coming over in the Sean Manaea deal was Jose Devers, 5 RBIs back in 2021 in only 21 games, added 244 too. So definitely some people contending for that spot. We do also have Kevin Smith helping out this bullpen too. Now, Kevin Smith is kind of a liability defensively. It's not completely grown. I do want to put him at second base, where he is going to go up, because his fielding is not the best. And then Nick Allen, just age is on his side. Chad Pinder, very much a utility man, plays everything except for first base and catcher, /243 with 6 bombs last year. Do also have Lazaro Armentaros in the minors, and that's about it when it comes to left field. Center field, we do have one of the most electrifying players Oakland has seen in Ramon Laureano, 27-year-old, probably going to be the centerpiece we build around. Offensively, depending on what his contract looks like, yeah, chooses arbitration left. 2.46 average, 14 bombs, 39 RBIs, walked 27 times. Does strike out a lot. Does have a good amount of speed. Not the fastest guy in the world, but can take off with 34 career stolen bases. And yeah, backing him up is Christian Pache, who played with Atlanta the past 2 years, where he's hitting 119. It's not too spectacular, but definitely think there is some there, especially some good bench speed. And then Gabriel Machel is probably one of the top prospects there in the outfield at 23 from Brazil. Nothing else much there. I do like Buddy Reed a lot as well, too, with the speed. And Skybolt, obviously. Not the best hitter in the world. Definitely is not a good hitter whatsoever, but speed. Seth Brown really made a name for himself last year, batting 20 bombs, 48 RBIs. Does not hit for average. Not the best contact, but hits for power. So that's something to look forward to. Billy McKinney also played a little bit with the Yankees. Was traded with Toronto. Was traded to Oakland last year. He hit 9 home runs, 27 RBIs. Not the fastest in the world, but definitely not the slowest. Plays corner outfield, definitely a bench piece. And probably might even get into the lineup. So yeah, so we looked at that. Now let's take a look at what I have, because I don't really remember what I said at the pitching rotation yet. Frankie Montas is getting opening day as of right now, with Caprillion being the 2, Conway being the 3, Cole Irvin being the 4, and then I do want to put in Blackburn as the 5 with Honeywell and Pute there. Guerrera, Pruitt, and Selman, Kalorak, and Trevino. Let's take a look at the lineup. We have Andrus, Kemp, Laureano, Brown, Murphy, Pujols, Pinder, McKinney, and Noose as right-handers. Lefties, we got Noose, Laureano, Andrus, Pujols, Pinder, Brown, Biscotti, Stephen Bow, and Tony Kemp. Taking a look here at the free agents, not really a ton of top free agents. I didn't want to go out and sign everyone. Johnny Cueto was a potential guy I was thinking about, especially because he spent all of his career in basically San Francisco outside of Cincinnati. I'm not going to hop into a game yet, just because of me having to go do something. But I do want to kind of take just a look around the league. So right now for the trade block, I'm not going to really put anyone on it. The only person I am going to put on the trade block is Elvis Andrus, because I have no problem getting up one of these shortstop prospects right now. He's the only guy I'm going to put on it for right now. I do want to quickly take a look at some like the training. Doesn't really matter, everything's auto there. I do want to look at budget. Obviously, we have $58 million in budget. It's going to be a ton of money. A lot of guys are off a contract after this year, such as Andrus, Pinder, Pujols, Bow. Tons of guys off a contract. So Biscotti's another potential trade piece too, getting paid $5.5 million. These are the majority of our contracts. No one is really locked up long term. Mark Kotsay is obviously the manager with Christopher Wright, Ron Pacelli, Rick Lambier, Lorner Vizquez, and then Nathan Francisco. No changes are going to be made yet. No changes are going to be made yet. I wanted to see if I could see what is going on with him anyway. Obviously, we are ranked 29th in the power rankings. And then, looking at past awards, obviously Shohei Ohtani won MVP, Cy Young went to Robbie Ray, Yuri Gurriel, and all of that. We can do stadium assignments? What's that? Oh, that's crazy. So that we can change it too. That's kind of a cool stadium, Megadex. Gonna stick with the normal Oakland Coliseum though for now. Gonna stick with the normal Oakland Coliseum though for now. Take a look at top prospects. We do have MLB, Marte, Marcelo Mayer, Bobby Witt, Brady House. Remember, this just does go up to 50. However, the pots are based off of 1 to 100. So anyone who is in the top 100 is at least an 8 pot. 1 through 10 is a 99. 11 through 20 is a 98, etc., etc. So here are some of the top prospects. So like Noelle Marte, Marcelo Mayer, Bobby Wood Jr. in the MLB, that'll be fun. As well as like Shane Baz, Torque. A lot of good young guys. Anyway, do we have any sponsorships even available? This skill would be a fun grab. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode where we'll hop into the game.